Today is Gaudete Sunday. The word Gaudete in Latin means rejoice. We're almost done with Advent. It is the very first word in the Mass that we have said the entrance antiphon. But instead we had our hymn. The third Sunday of Advent, as I said, has been called Gaudete Sunday ever since the time of Pope Gregory the Great in the 6th century. It is the reason for the pink. And the pink Advent candle. A real macho priest will say this is rose. But you know me, it's pink. Why is the church inviting all believers to rejoice at the midpoint of Advent? It's because as we remember that time when Christ came to earth, for which the season of Advent looks forward to. And as you heard last week in Father Anthony's homily, is the time for us to prepare for our going home to our eternal reward. It is the only source of true and lasting joy. Joy is the deep satisfaction experienced whenever we come into possession of something good. But all the good things in the world, apart from God, are temporary and fragile. Money, success, health, even friendship, and being in love, all these things are limited. If circumstances change or enough time passes, we either become tired of them or they go away. And so the joy that comes from possessing them is only a temporary joy. But our hearts are thirsty for a joy that will never go away, because that's what we were created for. Our deepest desire is to be known and loved completely, unconditionally, and everlastingly by another person. Only God can fulfill that desire. But, if you remember from your days in catechism, original sin cut this world off from friendship with God. And so the human heart was stranded. On Christmas Day over 2,000 years ago, God came to our rescue. And now, because of Christ, the true, lasting joy that each one of us desires more than anything else is possible. That's why, as we said, the entrance antiphon, it would say rejoice, but it says a little bit more. Rejoice in the Lord. This is the reason why mature Christians, saints, if you will, are able to continue living so passionately and hopefully even when everything goes against them. And as usual, I have to tell you a story. A saint that demonstrates this is one that I am very familiar with, where my school, when I was back home in Somerville, Massachusetts, did a lot of work with. And this saint is Jean Joubert, also known as Sister Mary of the Cross. Now, you might not know the name, but I think when I start telling you about her, you might have heard something that she did. She was born in France in 1792. She supported herself as a maid and as a hospital worker, spending all her free time helping those who were poorer than herself. When she was 47 years old, she took in and cared for an elderly, destitute, and blind widow. Thus began her life's work. Soon she gathered some assistance and founded a religious order called the Little Sisters of the Poor. And what is their specialty? They're devoted to the care of the elderly and sick. Unfortunately, we don't have any of their homes here in Florida. But other states, you can always go to the Little Sisters of the Poor home. Not long after starting the foundation, her spiritual director, Father Pellier, disposed her as Mother Superior and banished her to the order's mother house. She lived there in obscurity until her death 27 years later. In the meantime, this lovely priest took control of the order and rewrote its history, proclaiming him as the founder. His deception was so skillful that only a handful of people ever knew that Sister Mary of the Cross was the order's real founder. The truth came out after an investigation 11 years after her death. During her almost 30 years in exile, she never complained about the unjust treatment. She simply spent her days in obedience, doing her best to pass on her spirit and vision to the young women that were now joining the order. Later, one of them recalled that Blessed Jean Jouvet lived in the presence of God, and she would be on fire whenever she talked about Christ. Jesus can build a fire of joy in our hearts that nothing can extinguish if we let it. All of us here today, and I don't care how old you are, younger gentlemen or older, and those who watch us on the web, believe in Jesus Christ and his unhesitating love for us, the source of true lasting joy. And yet, often the troubles of life seem to fill our hearts with discouragement and sadness, especially at this time of year. When that happens, we need to turn back to Christ in prayer, to let him remind us that he is with us, guiding us, and loving us unconditionally. He often he permits struggles in our life precisely so that we will come closer to him, never giving in to temptation to base our joy on something that's only temporary or fragile or fills our needs right now. Because as you know, our society today is I want satisfaction now. Not later, now. Right, guys? When you want it now. And that's the way our society is. Which is sad. When that happens, we need to turn back to Christ in prayer, as I said, to let him remind us that he is with us, guiding us and always loving us. You know, it's so hard to do. What are we going to do with those people around us, though, who feel like this? Some of them have never heard of the gospel or never believed in it anyhow because their parents made them go to church when they were younger. They didn't really want to go. Now they're in college or out on their own. And there's a piece of their life missing. There's a piece of their life high missing. And that's spirituality. And don't use to cop out that, well, I'm spiritual. Yeah. What the heck does it mean? Do you have that love of Christ? Can you give that love of Christ out? So what do they do this time of year? They think about Christmas as what? Parties. Big punch bowls. And presents and presents and presents. And then comes January, and what happens? Credit card bills. Well, we overdid it. We didn't put what Christmas is all about. Like Father Anthony said, it's not about the little baby. Yeah, it's nice to have Mary and Joseph and the baby, which, by the way, little commercial. That is our set for the church for Christmas. In fact, I want you to see it when you leave. It's a good reminder of what happened. But that happened. That's history. The baby came. It's time for us to take what that baby said and to make it real as part of our lives and to spread it to others, even if they don't want to hear it. We have to be that little and get it to them whether they like it or not. Because nobody has kahunas today to do it. they're afraid of offending somebody. Who wants that? I don't want to hurt anybody. I got to be PC. Well, dang it, if you're a Christian, you're going to hurt people. You're going to be the tough dog. You're going to do tough love. You have to. If you're really going to spread the word of Christ. So we're almost over. We got 14 days left before Christmas. What type of Christmas is it going to be? Is it going to be the gimme presents that are good for now? And then we forget because they're only temporary. A few months down the road, that Xbox or whatever, I need something new. I need, whatever they come up with. It's just like the story where the parent spends the money, they buy the gift, they're so excited, what does the kid play with? The box. That kid has more of an idea of what Christmas is about. So as we continue on with the Mass, I ask you to reach out to someone who might be down this season for whatever reason. A lot of us get melancholy. A lot of us get depressed. Try to help others to get out of it. You might be successful, you might not. But at least, if you were to close your eyes in death right now, and Jesus was standing in front of you, what could you say to him? At least I tried. How the readings hit you and okay.
So, I'd like to bring up or mention that I like old rose better than pink.
This girl likes always pink.
Those of you who are not old enough to remember, Advent used to be a time of penitence, almost like a little Lent, and that's why people got tired of fasting, and when they got to the third week, they said, well, we're almost here, so we can have it. That's why in some cultures, like the time people have a feast on Christmas Eve. That's just a little information. The real theme is joy, as Father Jim said, rejoice. Maybe we need to bring a little bit more of that joy into our lives as Christians, as believers in Jesus, that it should bring us joy. But if you stop and think about it, if you ask someone, what is a Christian like to you, would they be more likely to say somebody who is judging me, somebody who is seems to hate, someone who is telling us that we can't do this, and we can't do that, and we should do this, and we should do that? Would it be described as somebody who seems to be joyful because they know Jesus and their lives are happy? Maybe that's a thought that we can have today too. Like the sister that she talked about. Oh, by the way, a little information. I came from New Jersey, and Mother Cabrini, St. Francis the Savior Cabrini, had a house in Newark, New Jersey.
That's another whole story. About her.
Listening to you last night when I got home from a wonderful concert, I turned on the television. Well, I was just bored, couldn't sleep, but couldn't do anything else. So I turned the TV on. And when I turned the TV on, it's a channel that just came out maybe about 2 years ago called Hope, the Hope Channel. And it's a channel about lifting up people's spirits with, because nowadays we all don't watch TV, so it comes to us through that way. And there was a family on this one program where he lost everything. He was working in a burger place, and they couldn't make their bills, and finally they were foreclosed on. They were sitting outside of their home with a bar and tents, and something like that happened later on. But the whole meeting was, he looked at his wife and he said, "I cannot believe this." And she said, "What?" Because his kids didn't want anything for Christmas. They said they had everything they needed. And when he asked, "What was that?" they said, "You and Mom, you were always so busy, you didn't pay attention to us. You never did anything with us anymore. And here we are, sitting around the fireplace, talking, singing, and talking about God." And then the little kid said, "That is the biggest gift I can get. Thank you." And the father looked with tears in his eyes, and he looked at his wife and he said, "Why is it that we have to learn from our kids and they're not learning from us anymore?" And that right there sticks with me, because it's true. We learn from our kids more than we learn from each other as adults, because we're too fast-paced, we're too busy, as you said. And when you said that, it brought back that movie. And you know me, I don't remember much of anything. So that was just my little 2 cents. Okay, I'm not over it.
I was just thinking.
Anything else? All right, then let's continue on. Page 83.